Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a new study suggests that newspapers are relying too much on the internet. Also tonight, hear about new research that maps the human immune system. And we'll meet the winners of a tech competition that turns citizens into solution builders. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio was officially charged with criminal contempt today. The misdemeanor count needed a judge's signed order to become official. That order was signed today. Arpaio is now formally charged for ignoring a judge's order in a racial profiling case. Arpaio faces 6 months in prison if convicted. Federal trial is set for December 6th in U.S. District Court in Phoenix. All this as Arpaio is running for a 7th term in office. And state lawmaker Cecilia Velasquez pleaded guilty today to a Class 1 misdemeanor for unlawful use of nearly $2,000 worth of food stamps. 42-year-old Litchfield Park Democrat faces sentencing on December 1st. Plea deal calls for supervised probation, restitution, and 100 hours of community service. Velasquez is not running for re-election. She will carry out her current term, which ends in January. New study shows that newspapers may have been better off focusing on print editions as opposed to embracing the internet to deliver content. Here are some thoughts on that idea as Tim McGuire, Professor Emeritus at ASU's Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication and former editor of the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us. This is a University of Texas study here, basically saying newspapers kind of went wrong by going headlong into the internet and not paying enough attention to print editions. They got something here?
Poppycock.
Uh-oh.
Absolutely nuts. The fact is, as my good friend Steve Buttrey has written and several others, newspapers' problem is they didn't go into the internet boldly enough. Declines in the newspaper business have not been because of anything newspapers have done. It's been because of the fracturing of the advertising audience. These people talk percentages, but they don't talk the fact that $47 billion was the amount of money from advertising newspapers got in 2005. 2014, 16 billion, and it's declining dramatically. This happened around newspapers. If newspapers had boldly gone into the internet, we'd be much better off now.
They argue that the papers themselves, the print editions, still make more money as opposed to the online editions. True?
True, and declining every day, and soon when Sunday supplements continue their decline, it's going to blow up.
They also said that newspapers should have, instead of making web versions of what they put on your front doorstep, they should have done aggregate news content.
See, and I think we should have become aggregators on the web. Let me tell you a little story. 1996, 97, I put forward an idea in my newsroom that we ought to become a guide and direct. The internet was real, and we ought to guide our readers to the internet and direct them through it. Well, what does that sound like?
Yes.
That sounds like Yahoo and Google. I didn't have the nerve, the gumption, nor the scale to put that kind of thing together. And that's where newspapers failed. We had a lot of those ideas. We just didn't have enough wherewithal to make those real, like BuzzFeed and Vice and all the rest of these people have done so compellingly.
So those people are doing it compellingly. That bit of the market is being taken over by those folks. So you're a newspaper right now, and you've lost more than half, according to the study now, more than half have lost online viewers since 2011. The idea being that, yeah, it was there, it's growing, but it's not growing anymore online. And they're not even turning back to other newspapers. They're not even going back to print. They're just leaving altogether and going to the BuzzFeeds and the Yahoos.
That's right, who are, in fact, running the Washington Post exposés that they've been running through the campaign. That newspaper work is bolstering these operations. There's no question about that. Could it have done as well as just the Washington Post in a regional kind of way? Not at all. You need the national scale today, and people go online to find a menu of things around the country. Could a local newspaper do that? Not at all. And you've got this advertising problem,
Yes.
where you've got a third of the advertising you once did. We had a lot of stuff in the paper in 2002 because we had a lot of advertising. You don't have near as much anymore.
So if the research says more people still read print as opposed to read online, and I know you're saying that it's changing all the time, but if they say that's their study, it's the University of Texas. Right. What do I know? That's what they're saying. Could newspapers reconfigure and go back to that doorstep model?
Yeah, see, and I think figures don't lie, liars do figure. And what they were doing there is they weren't talking about audience. They were talking about a local newspaper readership and the online readership. Take a look at total online readership, and it's much greater than print. It pales print.
Are they staying very long, though? Because I think the study also mentioned that they're staying less and less in terms of time.
Again, that says a lot about what we put forth. There are a lot of industries who are doing awfully well with digital. Gaming, pornography, unfortunately. Amazon's a great example. These newspapers here, I happen to know, the Arizona newspapers, and we did it in Minneapolis too. We gave a hard look in the late 90s, early 2000. We get to every house. We get by every house in the community. Why don't we deliver stuff? We never did. Wow, would we be a powerhouse had we done that sort of thing?
Would people take, though, that news delivery seriously? If you're trying to do an expose and it's also coming with a bar of soap, I mean, does the gravitas get lost? No.
I don't think so. I mean, an Amazon guy showed up at my door the other day, and he's driving just for Amazon. He's not with anybody else. We could have had that business.
So what's a newspaper to do? What's Arizona Republic? They say, consult us, tell us what to do. What do they do?
I believe you become more of a player in a certain kind of pick your poison, but become a digital player of real import. Don't simply try to continue to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And that's what we've been doing for 20 years. Little bit of print, little bit of digital. And neither one has been any sort of an answer because advertising has been totally destabilized because of the internet. I mean, take a look at real estate. Take a look at autos. All of that's been destroyed because of the targeting of the web. This is all a digital issue. To go back and say, oh, we should have stayed completely newspaper, we would have been gone by now.
So, last question. When they say the tech-heavy web strategy was a bust, you say?
I think it's the only thing that's kept us in the game.
All right. It's good to see you again. Thanks for
see
joining
you.
us. A University of Arizona assistant professor and immunologist has created the first map of the human immune system. Adam Buntsman conducted his groundbreaking research using supercomputers for data sharing and analysis. Here now to explain what this all means for health and science is the U of A's Adam Buntzman. Welcome to Arizona Horizon.
Thank you, Ted.
Thanks for coming up. Oh, yeah. Thanks for coming on up and talking to us. This is fascinating to me, and I want you to explain it for all of us because it really sounds like mapping the human immune system. What are we talking about here?
Well, immunologists think about the immune system in a couple of ways. I think an easy way to think about it is broken into two parts. One part of the immune system is called the innate immune system, where you have a series of receptors that bind to things like microbes that we encounter in the environment every day. We're inundated with viruses and bacteria and fungi and other pathogens. And we need to be able to see them. We need to be able to detect them and see them as foreign. There are some parts of those microbes, some parts of the viruses and bacteria that we can actually detect. They don't change very much, and we keep the sensors that detect them relatively stable in our genome. There's another half of the immune system called adaptive immune system. Because of the enormous array of microbes out in the environment, we need the opportunity to be able to see new microbes we've never observed before. Our body has to detect them, remember them, and be able to clear that microbe and respond more robustly the next time it's observed by the body. So the adaptive immune system is what we're studying now. The problem is the genes that code for the adaptive immune system are broken genes. They're little fragmented genes that need to be placed back together, actually. These are genes that function in the white blood cells of your body, either B cells or T cells. They make two molecules, antibodies and T cell receptors, and those are broken genes in the genome. When they are placed back together to make a functional one, they do so in each individual cell, each individual white blood cell. And when they're glued back together in a myriad of ways, huge, vast numbers of ways. At the edges of where these genes are glued back together, there's little tiny changes. Each time it changes, it can detect a different virus, a different bacteria. So each cell, each white blood cell will have its own unique immune receptor.
And you have basically mapped the immune receptors pretty much. Is that what we're talking about? Analyzing the immune receptors and mapping them thusly.
That's right. So the concept here is that it was essentially thought to be too large of a system to map. There's predictions that the number of ways you can make all of these immune receptors exceed 10 to the 18th power. That's a 1 with 18 zeros.
My goodness.
That's 1 trillion times 1,000,000. And so that's a very large number, larger than people typically work with. When you do genomics, our whole genome is 3 with 9 zeros. So that's, so now you're talking about one little set of genes that can be reworked and placed back together in such a way to create this enormous variation, the patterns of which help protect you and me against influenza and E. coli, all the different microbes that we face on a daily basis. Finding those patterns in those receptors is key to understanding how we respond uniquely to influenza and how it's different to other microbes. And how, when our immune system goes awry, how we either respond to cancer or how our immune system develops into a cancer context itself.
Okay, so you've got all this information. I mean, a ton of information. What is Cyverse, and how did that help you map the immune system?
Yes. So Cyverse is at the University of Arizona in the Bio5 Institute. It is a computational infrastructure. It's essentially a large group of individuals with large National Science Foundation funding. And their job is to be able to collect computational tools, computers themselves and software, that allow basic science biologists, an immunologist, or another type of biologist to be able to use computers when they didn't necessarily train their entire lives to do so. So there are many research fields now have to use very large throughput sequencing types of techniques where the data is just too large for them to handle. They need computers to be able to handle them, but without the training with which to do so. So this is a method of being able to generate both the place to find the computers and computer systems and human beings that will help you facilitate utilizing those computers, because quite frankly, if you have an enormous computational system without the ability to use it, you're in trouble.
So your research took how long?
Well, it's been in development approximately 10 years. This mapping of the immune system portion, I did in collaboration with a Cyverse researcher and a member of the University of Arizona Department of Engineering, Computer and Electrical Engineering. His name is Dr. Ali Akaglu. And so together, we designed an algorithm to be able to calculate each way that you can create each and every one of these adaptive immune receptors and map how many ways you can create each one of them and generate a huge map of the landscape of those immune receptors. Now we can sequence, using whole genome sequencing tools, we can sequence not the whole genome, we focus just on the receptors of the adaptive immune system and sequence every single white blood cell that makes each and every different immune receptor and place it on this architecture, this landscape of immune receptor architecture, right? This map of the human genome. Find out where the patterns exist when you respond to influenza. Which receptors are you using? When there's a successful immune response, which immune receptors are you using? And how does that differ from those from an unsuccessful immune response?
So, but again, real quickly, because we're kind of running out of time here, I wanted the supercomputer made research that would have taken how long?
Oh.
How long?
So we actually modeled using a very small program that would have done a little chunk at it with a large cluster of CPUs. We estimate it would have taken us over 106 years to complete the entire mapping process. Using the techniques that we did with Dr. Akaglu, it took us 16 and 2/3 days.
That's unbelievable. That is fantastic. Before you go, it sounds like adaptive immune system. It sounds like you're almost moving the goalposts here a little bit. What do we take from this? When will this immunology map? When will this become a real service to folks?
Well, it's at the edge of that right now. So right now we are actively utilizing immune receptor sequencing to actually detect lymphoma and myeloma and leukemias at very, very high sensitivities, about 100-fold more sensitive than the prior techniques have been. Those are now starting to eke into the clinical realm, and I think they'll be used really robustly within the next 1 to 2 years.
Wow, so it's happening then?
Oh, yes.
Well, this must be quite a great reward for you, quite an achievement. Congratulations on this and continued success. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Technology and Innovation looks at the City of Phoenix's Smart City Hack, a competition that turns citizens into solution builders by developing technology products that solve pressing civic challenges. Here now to tell us more about the competition is Dominic Papa, founder of the Institute for Digital Progress, and Jedediah Woods, co-founder of Storage Together, the company that wound up winning the Phoenix Smart City Hack. Good to have you here. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Give me a better definition of the Smart City Hack.
Yeah, so it's an international competition that challenges entrepreneurs to develop products, tech products that could either make our government more efficient or improve the quality of life for citizens in their cities.
And the City of Phoenix Smart City Hack, this was is it just for Phoenix only? Was it valley-wide? How did this work?
It was valley-wide, but we labeled it as a City of Phoenix. The City of Phoenix has really been the driver behind this innovative initiative. And so what happens now is the city of Phoenix became involved with a global network of smart cities such as Barcelona, Dubai, Helsinki. And so we ran the local competition for the city of Phoenix.
And the winner of the local competition was called Storage Together. Enter Jedediah. What is Storage Together?
Well, Storage Together basically is a share market business that aims at bringing people with extra space in their homes or garages and connecting them with people seeking storage. It bypasses the storage unit system that's already in place. And we bring money back to the community through hosts making money.
So I've got too much stuff. I don't have enough place to put it. How does this work?
So where we come in is we allow people already in the community who already have existing space in their homes or garages or even yards to store your stuff and make an extra buck while doing it and saving the other person money.
So am I hearing like an Uber kind of a thing going on?
That idea, the share market, is what we're leaning into. The storage industry has not been disrupted for many years, and we seek to bring that more personal feel to it that the millennial wave is bringing.
So is this the kind of, it sounds like the kind of thing, I don't know if it's a pressing civic issue, but if you got too much stuff, it's a pretty big issue. Is this the kind of stuff that the hack competition was looking at?
Exactly. Anything that could, make our quality of life better. By connecting people through technology, through kind of this disruption, it's exactly what we are looking for.
Talk about the competition and how presenters had to present themselves, their products, how that all worked.
Yeah, the competition occurred last Friday night at the Orpheum Theater. Each presenter, each team got 5 minutes to present their product on stage. They were then asked a series of questions from a panel of judges as well as the audience. Ultimately, the judges scored them, and then there was a live public vote, kind of like American Idol. And ultimately, Storage Together was determined our 2016 champions.
When you made your presentation, how did you sell it?
Well, passion, honestly. That's one thing that all our co-founders bring is passion. And that passion drives us really far. We also have we've been doing this since February, so we do have a lot of knowledge in the industry and in the process of doing it. So bringing that passion with a year's worth of experience in this particular endeavor really helped us do that.
How'd you come up with this idea?
It was actually one of our co-founder, Luca Margo's original idea. And as college students, we're all out of state. We find that when we leave for the summer, we need places to store our stuff. And we didn't like the cold corporate feel of storage units. So we're like, think of a way that we can connect people, but also save money and allow people to make money through it.
So is Storage Together now making money itself?
We had an alpha test this past summer, and we're seeking this next spring to truly launch. We're going to start on our school's campus, Grand Canyon University. We're going to start there with a controlled beta test so we can really ensure product quality, consumer happiness, and things like that. And then, Lord willing, next fall, we can really seek to incorporate in all the schools in Arizona and then seek out to the public to help them out. But we really want to make quality assurance.
As far as the competition is concerned, I can come up with a pie-in-the-sky idea just as well as anyone. How applicable do these things have to be?
They have to be pretty applicable. We make them have a minimal viable product at the time of the competition, so it's got to be something that can stand alone and can be tested. And so that way we're really ensuring that we're not, just shooting for pipe dreams. We're developing businesses, we're developing startups that then, bring jobs to our city. So we make sure that they have a minimal viable product at the time.
And not only that, they make a difference.
Exactly.
It achieves what the goal of the competition is.
Correct, yeah. The potential for impact is huge. What we do with this competition is give local entrepreneurs the platform to really change cities on a global scale. So it's really terrific, and it's exciting to see local entrepreneurs succeed.
So the winner goes on to international competition, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they will be traveling to Barcelona in less than a month, where they will face off against cities from all around the world and their champions.
How do you feel about that?
It's exciting. It's an honor. It's a blessing. We thank God for it because this opportunity to be on an international stage is something that not every average college student company can say they've done. And so it's a great opportunity, and I just hope that we use it well.
And do you have other ideas in the pipeline here, you and your buddies?
Oh yeah, as entrepreneurs, we're always thinking of ways to help people and help our community specifically.
And with that in mind, what if they come back next year and have a great idea? Can they win 2 times in a row?
Bring it back. The more ideas, the better we can make our community. Come on back.
All right. Well, congratulations. Smart City Hack. It sounds great. It's a perfect idea. Just get folks out there doing good things and competing for it in the process. And congratulations to you. Good luck in Barcelona.
Thank you.
We'll be rooting for you.
All right.
All right. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Wednesday on Arizona Horizon is historically Republican Arizona about to turn blue. We'll talk about it, and we'll hear about a push to get seeds from foods into the hands of local gardeners and market farmers. That's tomorrow on Arizona Horizon. A reminder, if you'd like to see tonight's show again, maybe see some past editions of Arizona Horizon, see what we have in store for the future, check us out on the web, azpbs.org/horizon. That's azpbs.org/horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great weekend. Have a great evening, not a great weekend.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.